Hello Fix fans and welcome back to the shed. You'll see that there is a lot of Nerf stuff in here at the moment. That's because it's Nerf Christmas presents time. Let's get going. So what have we got for you today? We've got over 50 tips for presents you might want to buy for the Nerfer in your life. This is going to be awesome. Santa's going to love it. Your Nerfer's going to love it. Let's get started. Now we've got over 50 ideas on this list. They're set out into different categories. This video is going to cover the following sets of ideas for your Nerfer. Stocking fillers, things for big kids, things for bigger kids, things for Nerf Modders and things for Nerf War Players and Humans vs Zombies players, things for Nerfers who like to tinker, things for if you or they have a 3D printer, some of the more fun and quirky blasters that you could pick up, and also quite importantly I'll give you my opinion on the things that are best avoided or at least tried before you purchase. Toy guns that shoot foam come in infinite varieties and they're very much personal preference. Buying these is easier than you might think. As we're basically dealing with toys, in the USA, big box stores will pretty much have anything that you want outside of the more hobby grade stuff. In the UK, Argos, Smiths, The Entertainer, they all carry the toy products. You may also find some of them in places like Home Bargains. That's where I got my slightly out of shot laser up set from at a bargain price. Even the more hobby grade presents on this list are quite easy to get hold of online. Amazon and eBay usually good starting places. There are also online hobby specialist retailers around the world, outofdarts.com and foamblastshop.com in the USA. If you're in the EU, blastertime.eu are the people to go to for the hobby grade stuff. And in the UK we have sites like uknerfwar.com. If after listening to this you have any questions about what to get the Nerfer in your life, feel free to put the questions in the comments below and we can all discuss amongst ourselves the pros and cons of something awesome to buy. Let's get into it. So stocking fillers. If somebody's shooting foam darts, they're likely to need more foam darts. Ammunition is a great stocking filler for all Nerfers. I'll give you a quick rundown of my top picks. If the person you're buying for is using short darts, you can't go wrong with Adventure Force Pro darts, which are available in store in the USA, or Worker Gen 3 darts, which are available online worldwide. If your Nerfer is using full-length darts, the standard size Nerf dart that everyone's familiar with, then the best thing to do is to buy one of the many brands of waffle head darts. The waffle head dart has a distinctive head shape, which is compressible. The top pick for waffle head darts is the Adventure Force Waffle, available in the big box stores in the USA. Blastertime.eu also do Adventure Force Waffle refill packs of about 200 darts. If you can't get waffle head darts or somebody doesn't want to use them, the next best thing is an AccuStrike or AccuFake dart. You'll be looking at a dart this size with a head that looks like this. The AccuStrike darts have a very distinctive head. They've got these kind of twist pattern to them. The Hasbro versions are incredibly expensive. I wouldn't recommend picking up those if you have any other choices. You can pick up lots of other darts online that have this AccuStrike type head. They're called AccuFake darts. You want to be getting them in this size. Pro tip, if you're looking at third-party darts on Amazon or eBay and they don't have AccuFake or waffle style heads, then make sure you get the squishy type. What I mean by that is, this is a standard Nerf Elite dart, quite compressible at the tip. Saves your eyeballs. Quite a lot of the off-brand darts that look like Nerf Elite darts are actually what the community calls full vinyl jackets. Now this, it's got a very hard tip. If that hits you in the eye, that's going to really hurt. In fact, if that hits you anywhere, it's going to hurt quite a bit. They're banned from most games, so they're very cheap. They look exactly like Nerf darts that you would get in the shop with your blaster, but they're not quite the same thing. My advice is, if you're looking aftermarket for darts, try and find ones with waffle heads or try and find ones with AccuFake or AccuStrike heads, and then you're not going to run into this problem of these rock hard FVJs flying around all over the place or not being able to run your blasters in a war because you've only got this ammunition. At the bottom of the pile come Hasbro's darts. If you're particularly loyal to Hasbro or you haven't got a good source of third-party darts, then perhaps you want to pick up some Elite darts. I'd suggest getting AccuStrike if you can. They're both inferior options in terms of price compared to the third-party offerings. If your Nerfer is shooting mega darts from a blaster like this one with mega written on the side, you're going to need big red darts. My tip for these is to buy the AccuStrike head style mega AccuFakes, like this one here. Good value for money, fly reasonably well, quite accurate. If your Nerfer is very keen on using rival blasters, which fire little tiny balls, this can be quite tricky because there's only really one or two sources of these little tiny balls. The genuine Nerf balls are called high impact rounds. They're very reliable, but tend to be quite expensive. Third-party alternatives to these high impact rounds come in a variety of different qualities and you don't always know what you're getting. If you want to look for cheaper third-party alternatives to rival balls, you can look at the X-Shot Chaos balls, Dart Zone Tactical Strike balls, or the Headshot third-party brand. They're all brands of rival light balls which work really well with rival blasters, but don't cost the same as Hasbro's high-impact round ammunition. If your Nerfer is using Nerf Hyper Blasters, they fire a tiny little rubber ball. Hasbro's Nerf Hyper refill packs are basically your main option at this point. There are some Hyper compatible rounds that come from Little Valentine. They're also a good option if you can get hold of those. If you've gone to the trouble of buying someone ammunition, they may well want magazines to hold that ammunition, not necessarily drums like these. There are a variety of magazines that are available. Standard Nerf magazines for full-length darts. There's a variety of these that you can buy online from third parties, and you can buy the Hasbro ones either new or secondhand. If the person's running a short dart loadout, so their blaster shoots short darts, the Worker Talon mag is fairly widely adopted, so buying some of those is usually a good bet, but do check with your Nerfer first. Those people running rival or hyper blasters, they tend to be hopper fed. There are a few magazine options, but really, you don't need magazines for those. So what if your Nerfer's new to Nerf, or you just want to buy some Nerf stuff for the kids to plink around the house? Well, number one recommendation, the Alpha Strike line. I recommend one of the dual targeting sets. They come with 2 blasters and a selection of little targets. If you don't want your little bottle to come apart dynamically, you can also line them up and have twice the amount of things to shoot at. Great fun for kids. I've really enjoyed mine. Of course, when you're buying for new Nerfers, don't forget the darts. The Alpha Strike line does this really well. The 2 blasters in the dual targeting set come with more darts than you need to fill the 2 blasters. Unfortunately, some of Hasbro's other products will come with either the right amount of ammunition for the blaster, so if you lose any, you'll be under your ammunition quota, or they come with fewer than you can fill the blaster with, which is the case in the Hyper line. So do consider that if you're buying a Nerf toy, you might need to pick up some extra darts. See the previous section for those. It's also very important to note that lots and lots and lots of Nerf blasters use batteries. I think there's one in the Alpha Strike line that does, but quite a lot of the other ones do. This one does, this one does, this one does, doesn't, this one does, this one does, this one does, this one definitely does, that one over there does. So if you're buying blasters, it's a good idea to buy a set of batteries or 2. I picked up a number of these blasters, including this Infamous, from Facebook Marketplace, and they seem to have an original set of batteries in them. They've been played with for the duration of that set, and then because they're big D batteries, either nobody's bought more or they've just been seen as too expensive and they've been put in a cupboard. So bear that in mind. If you're buying electronic blasters, buy the batteries. If your new Nerfer is really keen on the Hasbro Nerf brand, you can also get all sorts of accessories like tactical vests and bandoliers with dart storage. These are usually really cheap on eBay and Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, those kinds of places, but they can also be bought new, these sort of branded accessories. They're usually reasonably inexpensive, especially secondhand, and can be bundled in with a main present. So what do I recommend for young kids? Well, there is one option that's really good because it does away with the darts. Cleaning up darts after a Nerf war in your house is really annoying. They literally get everywhere. I do a lot of Nerf mods in this shed. There are darts everywhere. I find them every time I go in a toolbox, every time I look in a cupboard, there's another dart. They're really irritating, and there's a way around that. The way around that is to use infrared beams instead of darts. Let me introduce you to the Nerf Laser Ops Pro line. Now this is a slightly older line, and as a result it's quite cheap. It's your standard laser tag type system. You have a laser tag type blaster, which fires infrared light. The Nerf Laser Ops Pro system is available in 2 varieties, the Alpha Point pistol and also the Delta Burst rifle. I have 2 of these. I picked them up from Home Bargains in the UK. They were very cheap because it's a slightly older line. Now, with the 2 of those and the 3 Alpha Points I can have a nice little Nerf war. The only drawback of the Laser Ops line is that they use quite a few batteries. The Alpha Point takes 4 AA batteries. The big old Delta Burst here takes 6 AA batteries. Rechargeable batteries work in them fine, I've tried that. However, if you're a modder, both the Delta Burst down here and the Alpha Point will take a 2S LiPo. So if you know what a 2S LiPo is and you have 2S LiPos lying around, you don't have to worry about the AA batteries. If not, rechargeable AA batteries are fine. Next idea for little kids, Jolts are one of their derivatives. They're all Jolt reskins. Are fairly simple blasters to operate. Simply pull down and fire. Most kids will grasp that in 5 minutes. They don't need batteries. You can even buy them in party packs. And they're great fun for just plinking around the house, shooting little brother with. There are also a couple of other blasters worth mentioning, both of which are classics. You may or may not be able to get hold of these because they're slightly older lines. But there's the Hammer Shot. Now the Hammer Shot we'll be coming back to because that's a classic in its own right and that has a place elsewhere on this list. And over here we've got the Lawbringer. Now the reason I mention those for younger kids is because they have a really light trigger pull. My 2-year-old can fire these. That said, although my 2-year-old can pull the trigger, still a little bit too small for priming the hammer back, so be careful of that. And what if your child's into Nerf and also something else? Well, Hasbro have got you covered. They're a giant toy company. They have tie-ins with Roblox, Minecraft, with Dungeons & Dragons, with Star Wars, and with numerous other franchises. So if your child is a Fortnite fan, there are Nerf Fortnite blasters, for example. For bigger kids who want a bit more power, why not have a look at the Rival line? Hasbro market Rival blasters as 14+. They fire the little round, high impact round balls. Found a dart in here. Darts get everywhere. This is one of the smaller ones. This is the Knockout. This is going to feature elsewhere in the video too. The Rival line has a huge number of blasters, all very powerful, and certain of them incredibly overpowered, motorized, hundreds of darts spewing out of giant motorized blasters. That's what the Rival line is all about. There are also some pretty heavy hitting small things like the Knockout. The Rival line also has a red dot sight you can buy. It's not particularly good. Using a sight for Nerf is a bit of a strange thing because Nerf blasters just aren't accurate enough really. But if somebody's really, really keen and you don't want to buy an eBay airsoft red dot sight, the Rival line has its own red dot sight which can be picked up quite cheaply. So what if you've got really big kids? The kind of people who want power out of their blasters. This is where hobby grade powerful blasters come in. Now these are too powerful for kids and they're too powerful for indoor play. If you fire these at people, you're going to end up hurting them with the foam dart. There are two types of hobby grade blasters. Ready to run. Most of the blasters I'm going to mention in the ready to run category are available in big box stores in the USA and from blastertime.eu in Europe. Outside of the ready to run stuff, there are also blasters created by hobbyists. These typically appeal to modders. They're usually kits that have to be built. If you're looking for a ready-to-run blaster, there is the Dartzone Pro Mark 1, which is a rifle-style, quite hard-hitting blaster. The Dartzone Pro Mark 2, which is a quite hard-hitting pistol. And the Dartzone Pro Mark 3, which is fresh out and is a flywheel blaster that's, again, very, very hard-hitting and really, really easy if you do get into modding to modify. There are also the Adventure Force Nexus and Aeon Pros and Dartzone Max Striker. All of those are a great starting point for somebody who just wants a load of power out the box. Beware though, they may be overpowered for some Nerf wars. Some of those blasters are hitting 140, 150 feet per second. You may find that your local Nerf wars, particularly if you're doing humans versus zombies at a university, might limit the blasters to 100 or 120, 130 feet per second. If you buy something like that and you have no other stock blasters to play with, just be aware you might have to run to the nearest supermarket and buy something stock if you get caught out. Now for hobbyist blasters, there's one that needs no introduction, and that is the mighty Caliburn. It's 3D printed. You buy a hardware kit and attach that to your 3D printed parts and you get a very, very powerful blaster, which is reasonably powerful out the box but can be upgraded to be incredibly powerful. There is a slightly more compact version of it called the Talon Claw. Both of those are made by a maker called Captain Slug. You can order the hardware for them online and you can 3D print the parts yourself, or you can order completed blasters from Captain Slug. There are also a number of small pistols now that you can get which have a reverse U-turn plunger system and pack quite a lot of punch for their size. One of these is the Gecko. You can get that from Rainbow in the EU. A newer one is the Foam Knight XE. Also worth a look is the Zinc. Now these are all really powerful because of the pistol format, perhaps not great for the UK or anywhere where you're going to be in public playing, but they're worth a look if you want something incredibly powerful and you don't want to go and buy something off the shelf like a Dartzone Pro Mark 2. So you know a Nerf modder. What do you get then? Well, the first thing, and what I've got over here in this pile, is a Strife. The Strife is a platform where there are literally thousands, if not millions, of combinations of parts that can be used to modify them. If your modder hasn't done a Strife build already, they may not be much of a modder. If your modder has done a Strife build already, there's scope to do another Strife build. There's infinite variety of off-the-shelf and 3D printed parts for a Strife. Any modder is going to be happy with another Strife to mess with. The Rival Knockout, mentioned this earlier, this is a platform for many, many mods. There are commercially available mods, there are 3D printed mods, and there's lots of DIY mods as well. You can brass breach these, you can convert them to short dart, you can use an out of darts proud popper adapter to convert them to a load of other ammunition type. There are versions with high FPS, there are versions with long scar barrels for a sniper type pistol, if such a thing exists. There are also lots and lots of inline clips available to buy so that you can have multiple darts in this at once. Fire it, reload the clip, fire it, reload the clip. They can be had reasonably cheaply too. I think this one was about £9. If you can get hold of one or two, they're quite easy to just pick up, and there's always a mod to do on a Knockout. They're a great platform. There's also the Big Shock or Hot Shock, which is similar. I've got a ton of these lying around. I've got 3 or 4 of them in the hobby pile of shame. The Big Shock is a great platform for mods because it shoots mega darts. So it has a giant plunger tube. If you then convert it to shoot smaller darts, it shoots smaller darts quite powerfully. There are absolutely loads of kits for these available. You can buy 3D printed stuff. There are lots of community mods that people can DIY. One of my favourites is the Second Wind by Seayard Nerf, which turns this into a 6-shot revolver. Great little 3D printed mod. That's what one of mine is going to end up being. There's the hammer shot. It's a classic. Again, absolutely loads of mods that can be done to this. You can replace the spring. You can get metal parts for it. You can definitely replace the turret. This is 5 darts stock. That's an 8 dart one I've printed just there for it. That's going to go in here soon. You can get turrets for 8 darts. You can get turrets for short darts. You can get turrets for several short darts in an inline clip configuration. These are absolutely brilliant to mod. They're very popular in the community and very well supported for mods. So what things are there that aren't blasters that you can buy a modder? Well, one thing that is called a blaster, but is not a blaster, is a drain blaster. It's a device that you pump up and then fire into a block sink or block toilet to unblock it. These are great because you pump them up and pump up quite a large air tank, and you can fire all sorts of stuff out of them once you've put some attachments on the front. They're very useful for making shotguns. If you try and shoot a single dart out of one, it will end up going through cardboard and windows and all sorts of other things, and they are banned at many games for that reason, unless they're in shotgun configuration. But if your modder hasn't done a drain blaster build, pick them up one off Amazon. They're great fun to mod to shoot darts. Another thing a modder will definitely appreciate is some brass tubing. This is designed for hobbyists who do model making and that sort of thing. Comes in a variety of different sizes, which sleeve inside each other, so it's very good for creating breaches in things like magazine-fed blasters. This is 9/16, a little bit loose for a Nerf dart. This is 17/32. Great size for a Nerf dart. They fit together into sort of a sliding breech configuration. Depending on what darts you're using, 9/16 or 17/32 might be the better one to buy. These two sizes are a great bet for any modder. If you don't know what size brass they might like, get them 9/16 or 17/32. I've got a fair bit of this knocking around the workshop in this and other sizes, just for various mods. The brass is always useful, and it can be quite expensive to buy, so some people might not buy it or might want it to be bought for them. I know I would. Springs are another thing. There are loads and loads of springs available. Just have a look at the Etsy listings for things like hammer shot springs. There are lots and lots of aftermarket springs for any blaster you can imagine. If you know your modder has got a modding project on, ask them if they might like a upgrade spring. They're relatively inexpensive to buy, and they can make quite a difference to the blaster's performance. Now, the Nerf modding market has become a little bit more popular in recent years. There are actually set piece products that you can buy that are designed to take you through the whole modding process. Now, I know UK Nerf War has a strife kit that you can just use to upgrade a strife in one go. There's also Franz Foamworks' The Box, which is now out of production, which was a way to get all the materials, including tools, to mod a blaster to quite a high level, which was very good. It came in 4 installments. That's now out of print, but they have got a successor product that is called the RFX Prism, which is a build your own blaster kit. If you like the sound of that, check out the link below and see if you can subscribe to that. So what if you're buying for somebody who goes to Nerf Wars, or plays Humans vs Zombies at university? One great tip is tactical gear. That's the clothing and equipment you can buy that allows people to carry around their blasters, darts, and other bits of their loadout on game day. Now, you can get generic options. This is my tactical vest. Generic Amazon tactical vest. Orange juice cartons to hold mags. There are also better quality items designed for airsoft and designed specifically for Nerf Wars from places like Blastersmiths UK. So what tactical gear is there to get? The Mole or PAL system, which is a series of webbing onto which you can connect a variety of other things. My orange juice magazine holders are connected to the webbing using these little sticks that you use to connect stuff to this kind of thing. Mole and PAL's webbing is modular, and there's all sorts of little pouches and connectors that you can attach to it. So if you can get either of those two systems, that'll be slightly more versatile for your Nerfer. There's the vest, as you've seen. Dump pouches are quite good. These are just big pouches into which you can put darts or rival balls, or if you're in the middle of some kind of mission, your bits of mission gear that you might have to pick up. Similarly, admin pouches, they're quite good. Just little pouches that you can put things in like mobile phones, pens, mission objective things, tokens, that kind of thing. They're very useful. Holsters for your blaster. You can usually get these that fit on Mole or PAL's webbing. I have a drop leg one that's separate that I put my secondary in when I'm playing Nerf Wars. If your Nerfer is using short darts in Talon magazines, P90 magazine pouches are a good fit for those. You can also get half dart specific magazine pouches from Etsy, and Worker make magazine pouches for their half-dart Talon magazines. If your Nerfer uses full-length dart in full-size magazines, things are slightly harder. M4 or AR-15 mag pouches, they can work in a pinch, but they're often a little tight. This is a 6-round magazine. The standard Nerf magazine is slightly bigger. It's the 18-round clip. You'll find most people in Nerf Wars using the 18-rounders. Pouches for those 18-round mags, which has very cool clips, are available online if you search 18-round magazine pouch. And remember, Nerf's a fun hobby, so there are other pieces of tactical gear which might just be a good laugh. For when I play Humans vs Zombies, I've got a comedy helmet. On the back there is a suggestion that I am part of some kind of outbreak control team. I like that when I'm playing HvZ. What if your Nerfer is a bit of a tinkerer? Well, I think you know the answer to this. Just buy them a bulk set of blasters to mess with. I think pretty much everything on this table came in one bulk set or another. I've probably not paid more than 10 or 20 pounds for any given bulk set, and there's loads of stuff in there to take apart, swap springs between things, modify, break, cut in half, integrate, all those lovely things. If there's a bundle of Nerf blasters going cheap nearby, then it might be worth a look for your tinkerer. There are also the blasters I've mentioned before that have plenty of 3D printed mods for them, and another honourable mention from the Mega series is the Mega Thunderhawk that has a huge amount of 3D printed stuff available for it to fire every kind of ammunition you can imagine. Your tinkerer might also appreciate some non-blaster equipment. My suggestion for non-blaster equipment is actually one of those eBay red dot sights that you get for airsoft. They're not very accurate, Nerf blasters are not very accurate, but they improve the look of your blaster, and if people like messing with things, they will try to make that damn thing accurate. Now this is where the hobby has got really interesting in the last few years. 3D printed blasters and blaster parts have really come along. So if you have a 3D printer, it's worth having a look on Thingiverse or even on Etsy for paid files and seeing what you can pick up. Now you can get for free my own design of magazine if you're using full-length darts. There are tons of accessories like 3D printed holsters, add-ons, sights, stocks, targets to shoot at, and lots of conversion kits. So you could do something like buy a Nerf Ultra 2. I'm going to get to that a bit later because the ammo type lets it down. But with the 3D printer you can print conversion kits to convert it to an ammo type of your choice. Now if they have a 3D printer they probably know what they're going to want to print, but you can always buy them some of the non-printed things. Hardware kits for blasters are always a good one. I have the hardware kits for my Mighty Caliburn and Captain Slug Flak in my hallway. I need to put those together. I've printed the parts already. And you can buy them one of the aforementioned base blasters from the modification section. A Hot Shock, a Big Shock, a Knockout, all of those are great platforms. They'll be able to print a ton of stuff to go with those. Same with the Hammer Shot. What if you want something fun, something a bit quirky? Now, I particularly like this category because Nerf is fun. For me, personally, I have a lot of fun playing with Nerf. I could play airsoft, I could play paintball. They're fun as well. They're a slightly different thing. They're less comedy. There are fewer gimmicks. It's a little bit more serious. What Nerf as a hobby and Nerf as a brand do really well is gimmicks. The first thing is not actually a quirky blaster, it's a quirky ammo type. You can get all sorts of things that whistle. This is a whistling arrow. Nerf Mega ammunition whistles as standard if you don't get the AccuFake type. And those whistling ammunition types really, really fun, especially when you've got something like a Megalodon over there that has this enormous drum and lets you shoot 20 whistling darts at somebody going through the air. That's really, really hilarious. A little bit scary if you're on the receiving end. Hasbro and off-brand whistler darts are also available in the standard size. Now these won't work with flywheel blasters or anything that uses magazines. If you have a front-loading blaster, you can put the whistler darts in there. They're great. You can get something like your Hammer Shot or your Lawbringer and just shoot these whistling darts at people. Really, really good fun. Also, if you're just plinking around the house or firing them at the kids. Quite fun to hear that whistle as the ammunition goes across the garden. Now, there's some slight overlap here. Nerf also do quite a few bows. You probably want to get one of the ones that fires actual arrows because they're quite good fun. The arrows themselves are reasonably fragile and quite expensive, but if somebody's got that archer interest, there are quite a few blasters in the range that are string powered and fire arrows. Now, we're going to see this later in the stuff to avoid section, but the good old Maverick. It's a quirky blaster. For a lot of people, it's a nostalgic blaster. If you played Humans vs Zombies when Humans vs Zombies was a new thing, this guy was probably one of your weapons of choice. Not very popular these days because the performance is pretty rubbish. You can look for a Nerf Titan, which is a rocket launch. If somebody doesn't have a Titan in their collection, they'll be very happy to play with that. There are also large cumbersome blasters like the Rhino Fire or Hail Fire, which take a lot of ammunition or look huge. They look like anti-aircraft guns. They tend to be very, very cheap secondhand because they're more novelty and less performance. People often buy this thing thinking it is going to shoot over their house and get upset when it barely goes across the room. So they're quite good to pick up used. There's the Deploy, which is a bit of a joke. It's become a bit of a meme. You can get those reasonably cheaply. There is a Flywheel the World kit, I believe, that lets you turn them into an actually good performing blaster. There are various shotguns to buy. My favourite of the shotgun bunch, the Rough Cut. They're a little bit quirky because they have 8 shots, 2 plunger tubes, but they're actually reasonable performers, so they don't really belong in this section. You can primary one of these at a Nerf War if you like, if you're feeling brave, and have a great time just running around. Other shotguns are the Barrel Break, which has a break action, the Sledge Fire, which also has a break action, the Trilogy and Side Strike, which use different shells to the Sledge Fire. The Shell Strike is also break action. The Sledge Fire, Trilogy and Shell Strike will all fire 3 darts at once out of a shell. From the Zombie Strike line, and I hope to get my hands on a couple of these quite soon, there is the Nail Biter, which essentially looks like a nail gun. You squeeze it to fire and prime the blast as if you're nailing a panel of wood to the wall. That's really quirky, not very war effective, but a great bit of fun. There's the Rev Reaper, also from the Zombie Strike line. You rev them up by pumping a handle and you manually turn the flywheels and they make a hell of a screaming noise and then fire darts downrange. Reasonably fast if you mod them. Again, they're just something a little bit different. They're a flywheeler that doesn't take any batteries. The styling of the Rev Reaper is not to everyone's taste and it's quite impractical, but I like it. And lastly on Quirky, we've got the Mega XL series now. So far we have the Boom Dozer and the Big Rig. They fire Mega XL darts, which are absolutely enormous. They're almost as big as Demolisher rockets. And they, I've already mentioned I really like this, they whistle as well when they go through the air. And the blasters are comically oversized. You get these huge blasters and you fire the big darts and they go across. Really good fun. Some of Hasbro's products have been pretty lackluster in the last couple of years, but the Mega XL line really has potential to be a really good laugh. So if you're after something quirky, head down to the store. You can probably buy one of those quite easily. So you've got to run out and buy something last minute or whatever. You just want to get the job done. You just want to know what to avoid. Well, I'm here to tell you what to avoid. The Maverick. These are incredibly common. You can find them absolutely everywhere. You might find them in a thrift store or a charity shop. They're great, they're nostalgic, but if you're looking for something that performs, they're very bad. The successors to the Maverick, the Strong Arm and the Disruptor, are marginally better. They've got better performance. They're still not massively moddable, but if you're looking for that 6-shot pistol, go for one of those. Leave the Mav aside unless you want something nostalgic or quirky. The Nerf Ultra line. Now, the Nerf Ultra line is a funny one. It uses these proprietary darts. They're very strange looking. They have fins at the back which do literally nothing. The Nerf Ultra darts are not particularly great. There is a new version of them with a flatter head that means they are slightly more accurate. I've not tried those. It's telling that my one Nerf Ultra blaster that I have, which is a Dorado, which I picked up for I think £9, is still in its box. I've not even bothered to take it out of the box because I can't be bothered with dealing with the terrible performance of Ultra. Now that said, don't take it from me. I've not even tried it. Don't take it from other YouTubers. If you think the Ultra line is something you're interested in, there's quite a few interesting looking blasters there. Try one out. I'm not saying it's an absolute no-go. I'm not qualified to say because mine's still in its box. The main downside of this line is that the darts are just incredibly expensive. A pack like this will run you £7 or £8. That's nearly 50p a dart. It's quite pricey. The darts themselves are actually quite fragile, so you'll probably get through them. But don't take it from me. Don't take it from any other YouTubers. Try and find somebody who can let you have a go first. You may love Ultra. The new darts with the flat heads may be accurate enough for you or very suitable for what you want. But just a little word of warning, don't grab it off the shelf without trying it first. And the last one we covered already, the old FVJs. If you're going to buy third-party full-length darts, make sure you don't buy the type with the hard plastic ends that you can't use anywhere and will hurt everybody. Do your best to get hold of some with the AccuStrike or waffle tips that are a better bet. Well, that was quite the run through, wasn't it? 50+ ideas. You're now ready for Christmas. Santa is going to be very happy. Your wallet may be slightly lighter, but your Nerfer in your life is also going to be very happy. Outside of suggesting blasters that are quirky or really good mod platforms, I've refrained from saying get an Infamous, get a Terror Scout, because yes, they're really good product. Yes, they're really good fun, but you might not find you use them. You might not want something battery powered. You might not want your children driving a Nerf tank around your house shooting you. Hopefully, because I haven't just run through the top 10 things I think are awesome, you'll be able to think a little bit more about what is more suitable for the Nerfer in your life. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, you can comment down below. I'd be really happy to hear your comments on what you think the best things to buy for Nerfers are. We are fixing making a modding channel. I've got all these blasters to mod. I've got all this 3D printed gear to go into them. There's loads and loads of stuff coming up. So make sure you're subscribed and don't miss any of that if modding is your thing. If you want to reach out or get involved, we've got a Discord, we've got an Instagram. I look forward to hearing in the new year about all the gifts that were given and received and what amazing mods people have planned. Thank you very much for watching. We've got plenty of mods coming, so get subscribed and I'll see you in the next video.